Welcome. If you're listening to this, chances are you care about staying active, or you've had a recent reminder of how quickly that can change, often due to pain. Most people don't see it coming. They're coping, carrying on, and doing what they've always done, until one ordinary moment becomes one step too far.
Welcome to the 3 Rules to Stay Active for Life. I'm Gavin Routledge, a lifestyle medicine professional, osteopath and author. And in this podcast, I'll share a few simple frameworks to help you suffer less pain and feel more confident about your current and future health. Once pain becomes changeable again, the next step is teaching your body how to adapt without triggering the system. Once pain becomes changeable again, the system becomes responsive. That's when optimisation can really begin. So just to anchor where we are on the journey so far, measuring helped you see patterns instead of being blindsided. Reducing lowered unnecessary background load, risks and aggravators that quietly push you closer to the edge. Relaxing calmed the nervous system so signals weren't amplified. And the pain equation helped explain why pain changes, often without obvious reasons. Once that background noise is lower, your body becomes more adaptable again. That's where optimisation fits. See, optimisation is not about pushing harder. It's not about adding more routines, and it's not about chasing perfect habits. Optimisation is about choosing the right inputs, delivering them at the right dose, and allowing recovery so that adaptation can actually occur. The nervous system adapts best when it feels safe. Threat, fatigue, and overload blunt your ability to adapt. Optimisation only works once sensitivity is already coming down. You can't force adaptation. You have to create the conditions that allow it. There are several levers you can work with when it comes to optimization, and we'll tie these directly back to the pain equation as we go. Sleep is where adaptation really happens. We touched on this in the Relax episode, but it's worth reinforcing here. Recovery, recalibration and pain modulation consolidate during sleep, particularly deep sleep. Good quality sleep improves the brain's ability to turn pain signals down at the spinal cord. It restores balance in the nervous system, reducing overreactivity. Poor sleep does the opposite. It increases sensitivity and makes normal signals feel more threatening. Sleep deprivation also heightens reactivity in threat detection centers of the brain. Most people recognize this intuitively. When you're short on sleep, you're more on edge, more reactive, and less resilient. Growth hormone release and tissue repair also peak during deep sleep. In simple terms, sleep doesn't fix the tissues, it tunes the volume knob on the nervous system. Although it can help with fixing tissues too. Think of sleep like recharging a battery. If you don't recharge it fully, everything else has to work harder. Appropriately dosed movement tells the nervous system that it's safe to load. Remember my wasp sting cycling story? When I was moving confidently, engaged and physically active, the pain dropped, often all the way to 0. Consistent movement reduces sensitivity. Intensity isn't the goal here, consistency is. This is where the second rule really comes into play. Start low and build slow. Regular, manageable movement builds tolerance over time. You can think of it like oiling a hinge. Small, regular movement keeps things running smoothly. Nutrition matters because underfueling or poor fueling increases stress and slows recovery. Energy availability matters more than dietary perfection. Extreme restriction often increases fragility rather than resilience. Most people don't need more rules, they need steadier fuel. Nutrient-dense food supports recovery and reduces background stress. You wouldn't put the wrong fuel in your car and expect it to run smoothly. Your body works the same way. Adaptation happens between bouts of effort, not during them. Recovery doesn't only mean rest days, it includes micro-recovery, transitions between tasks, pauses between efforts, and how you move from one demand to the next. Without recovery, fatigue accumulates quietly and sensitivity rises. Think of pit stops in a race. They're not a sign of weakness, they're what allow performance to continue. And your social environment has a powerful influence on pain and recovery. Humans regulate ourselves through connection. Supportive environments lower threat. Conflict, isolation, and uncertainty raise sensitivity. Think of background music in a film. It subtly shapes how you feel about everything that happens on screen. The same is true in your life. Here's an example. Put it into context. I once worked with a patient, we'll call him John, who had long-standing low back pain, often with sciatica. When he first consulted me, his pain typically averaged around 6 out of 10. John was significantly overweight, which is a known risk factor for persistent back pain. Weight loss was definitely a long-term goal, but he knew it would take time. Instead of trying to change everything at once, he chose one optimisation lever. He substantially reduced his carbohydrate intake. Strangely, perhaps, within 48 hours, his pain dropped from 6 out of 10 to around 3, and it stayed there. That change happened far too quickly to be explained by weight loss. What likely changed was the pain equation, not the tissues. For some people, some of the time, higher carbohydrate intake increases systemic inflammation and background stress signaling. By changing the fuel environment, John reduced baseline nociceptive noise and perceived threat. Nothing was fixed, nothing was forced. The conditions changed and the output changed. This mirrors exactly what happened in my wasp's sting story. The sting stayed the same, the toxin was still there. What changed was attention, perceived threat, and physiological state. I'll say this slowly. You don't need to memorize it. Back over the pain equation. Pain equals nociception, signals from the body, plus negative mind state, plus attention, plus pain memory, minus positive mind state, minus safe, confident movement. Optimization works by quietly shifting multiple parts of this equation at the same time, where possible. If not, focus on one. Sleep lowers baseline nervous system reactivity and reduces negative mind state. Regular, appropriately dosed movement increases safe, confident movement, which actively subtracts from the equation. Adequate fuel and hydration reduce background stress and improve recovery from nociceptive input. Recovery between efforts prevents fatigue from amplifying attention and sensitivity. Supportive relationships reduce perceived threat and soften emotional amplification. Optimization doesn't fight pain, it changes the balance of the equation in your favour. So, I hope that wasn't too heavy. Please feel free to go back over this episode. And after you've done that, as a bridge, consider that even when conditions improve, people can still get stuck. Not because the system can't adapt, but because of how they relate to their body and their future. And that's what we'll explore in the next episode. If today's episode sparked a shift in how you think about your body or your health, don't try to change everything at once. Choose one small action this week. something that nudges you towards staying active rather than avoiding discomfort. That's how confidence is rebuilt. You'll find further episodes exploring the 3 rules and the habits that matter most, not by doing more, but by doing things better. This programme is provided for general information only and should not be taken as medical advice. If you have persistent or worsening symptoms, please seek appropriate medical guidance.